Today on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we've got Week 4 waivers. It's time for Garbage Time. Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Ron Seymour, joined today by Joseph McCann. How you doing?
What is going on, Ron? I am on vacation this week. We are doing the waiver show early. I'm happy. I'm wearing my Just End the Season Jets t-shirt a few weeks earlier than I anticipated, but overall good day because I'm not at work. So let's get through this stuff. We got news and waivers.
That's right, and we'll jump right into the news with Joe's favorite drop.
News updates.
And before we get into the news, guys, we want to challenge everyone that's watching on YouTube. Like the video below, subscribe to it, helps with the algorithm. Then you can talk shit to us, www.garbagetimeff.com. Leave voicemails. We have a few haters leaving stuff in the comments now. More than appropriate. We absolutely love it. But if you really want to challenge us, put the voice to the name. Do it on the website, and we'll put it right on the show. Talk shit. Say whatever you want to us. We'll respond back. Might not be nice, but we'll respond back. Anyway, for our first story of the day, we have Christian McCaffrey. Avoided the IR, is expected to be week to week. They don't think he's going to miss anything more than 3 weeks. So what are your thoughts on that, Ron?
Like I said, he had a long week off, playing the Thursday night game. Now doesn't have to go till Sunday. I think he will miss week 4, but I think he'll probably be back week 5.
Yeah, I think that's, potentially good for you too. And what a pain in the ass for your kind of roster too, because as Ryan stated, Saquon Barkley finally gets healthy. Looks good for the Falcons yesterday, and now you're dealing with Christian McCaffrey's injury, which is really bad for you because you're very thin at the wide receiver position. There's nothing to really offset it.
Right, yeah. I went heavy after running backs, and I am paying the price for it, even though I have 2 of the top running backs in the league, which is ridiculous.
But here's the real question. Are you paying the real price, or is it Bears fans right now that are paying the real price? Because Justin Fields, man. But anyway, we'll let that slide right under the rug because our boy's still hurting there with that. KJ Hamler had a very bad injury, and if you could see it from television yesterday, they refused to show it after. It looked absolutely terrible. And it is confirmed. He's got a torn ACL. He's absolutely done for the season, which sucks because KJ Hamler is a favorite of this show. But be aware now. Tim Patrick, if he is still on your waiver wire, is going to be a huge commodity and pickup. Luckily, in our league, people have already picked him up early enough. And I believe he's actually stashed on our Megalo Bowl roster, and there's no way I'm not starting him. I don't give a shit what you guys say this week. He's going into the starting lineup because he looks like a men among boys out there.
So, yeah, I've picked Tim Patrick up after week 1 in some of my leagues because he was very involved week 1. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Jeudy was there for most of that game. And then he got more involved after Jerry Jeudy went down with his issue. So
someone else who might benefit from this too, dude, is Noah on this show known as Noah Fantastic too. So he might be in line for some more work too with him down too. Obviously they're injury riddled at that position now, and they're getting thin, and they need to move the ball around the field, and those are the 2 options that they're going to be looking to do it too.
I agree.
And our next bit of news too, Andy Reid is doing much better. They said he was sick yesterday, but it ain't COVID, guys. He was just dehydrated. He's resting, and I imagine he'll probably be back on the sideline this weekend. Andy, drink your fluids. Stay away from the Fanta soda. It's not good for you. It'll dehydrate you, okay? Stay away from the soda. Be on the sideline. We need you for the Chiefs to actually produce for fantasy football, okay? So, Coach Reid, we're glad that you're healthy again. Not very fantasy relevant if you're back on that sideline, but glad you're always healthy, especially in this modern day and age that we live in. On the next bit of news, we're going to shit on Ron a little bit too. There was a report out yesterday, Ron, that Kadarius Toney was going to get more involved in the offense from the agencies and powers that be that said and know everything in the NFL. But Kadarius Toney had 2 targets, for 16 yards, and it didn't look good.
I was not happy with the Kadarius Toney pick, really, anyways. Like, there's people saying that we could have got Kadarius Toney in the second round. I don't care.
And not only that, you might not only care, but that was after the Slayton injury, too. He still wasn't getting involved, which is very concerning.
And the Shepard injury. Don't forget, they both got injured.
Yeah, sorry about that. You just have injuries all over your wide receiver. So great year going on.
Surprise. We can never have our entire offensive team on the field at once. We finally had it because Evan Ingram came back, and then guys get injured.
All right, so in our next little bit of news, too, Davante Adams absolutely got rattled last night. That's going to be something to watch during this week. He came back into the game, played well, too, set them up to win the game, but he did get smashed in the head. Ryan said he thinks he was just being dramatic, but I see a different view on that play. I saw him get hit in the head, which could have been deemed a late hit, and that is something you're going to want to monitor. I imagine he's still going to play, but there's a chance that he's still going to be in concussion protocol for the next few days. He evaluated fine during the game, but I imagine they're going to be looking at him the next few days, too. So just evaluate it. Don't panic. He's not expected to miss the game. It's just a little note that I am noticing, and I think you might want to watch too.
Yeah, I fell asleep during the second half of last night's game, and I woke up to a notification on my phone that said, and Davante Adams is still down. That's all it said. There was no other, words to the thing, and I got nervous.
That probably scared the shit out of you, especially for Davante Adams owners were holding their breath during that game last night. As the previous few weeks, Brandon Aiyuk owners were holding their breath too, and he finally came alive last night, and he looks to be a part of this offense finally. I don't know if I'm going to start him next week because, Shanahan's a little bit of an asshole. I think I'm probably going to, but up until game time, I'm going to debate on getting him in the offense, but he looks to finally be a piece of the offense.
What was his final stat line?
I believe he scored about 15 points for fantasy football. I don't remember his stat line right off the bat, but I saw him in on a lot of passes. So maybe you can get that while I'm going over the other players since you didn't pay attention to this game.
4 for 37 and a touchdown.
Yeah, so he was involved, and he did get some other targets that he missed outside of that too. So, like I said, playable yet? Don't know, but he's at least getting involved. As for someone that might be playable going forward, especially if the injuries continue, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon got involved. He was not trusted, I don't believe, because Kyle Juszczyk was getting involved, which is kind of strange because he's not really a running back. But Sermon showed that he can carry the load. He had a few breakaway plays, and he got into the end zone and scored a touchdown. So going forward, I think Sermon might actually be playable in the flex spot for you. So he's going from the bench, doing nothing, and being off the roster because he likes to party a lot, to starting. And when other guys come back, I at least think he's going to get a minimum of a split workload. So I think he's good for the flex spot for you.
I still feel like this is the guy that Shanahan wants to be the guy, like the main guy. He traded up for him in the third round. He's seen something from his college tape. If Sermon can keep having decent games on the field, he's going to be the guy. And all it's going to do is piss a lot of people that paid all of their FAAB for Elijah Mitchell and him possibly not being relevant the rest of the year.
You know who else he's not going to piss off, though, is tight end owners of George Kittle. George Kittle played well last night. Yeah. And that scared the shit out of me a little bit because I'm going up against him. I'm up by about 20 points in fantasy. And I've got a certain Cowboys running back I've got to go against tonight. And then he breaks off a 30 or 40-yard run, and now they only need 11 points. So I need a shitty night from the Dallas running backs to even achieve victory. Still possible, but Kittle is back, pissing me off, but not pissing off the owners.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I have Kittle in a league, and I was happy to see that he actually did something.
Yeah, no, he was in fact a part of that offense too. So it looks like the 49ers are starting to come back to their original offense from last year, which would have been this lineup should they have been healthy. So this is what they're getting to. They're adding a rookie Sermon into it now. The injuries are allowing him to get opportunity, and Kittle was needed for that game, so they used him.
Yes, he was. But I feel like this may be a problem with Kittle throughout the year. He might end up doing this to you where he could have these monster weeks and then have weeks where he's just not the game plan.
But this is the tight end position, so he still might be considered effective. Do you think he's going to finish top 5 by the end of the year?
I think he will, just because it is the tight end position. So it's hard not to finish top 5 if you're any type of involved in the offense.
Right. Ron, do you have any other news that I'm missing here?
No, not that I can think of offhand.
All right, let's get into the waiver wires then.
Waiver wires.
All right, let me first preface when we get into this too. I'm going to talk about one guy you can drop off your roster being a Jets fan wearing the C-shirt today. You can drop Elijah Moore now. I hung on to him for one more damn week. The Jets offense is last in the league. They've scored 22 effing points over 3 weeks. Don't play a single player on that offense outside of maybe the wide receiver number 1. Elijah Moore is an easy drop for you, and I promise you I will be dropping him this season, and then he'll go off. But that's besides the point. I'm pissed. I'm dropping from the roster, and I'm adding someone else, probably one of these guys on this list. So with our first position, we're going to get into the quarterbacks, and then we'll run down the other positions. Ron, what's your opinion on Sam Darnold this week? Is he a very good pickup for Little League?
I still feel like he's a very solid play. I don't think he'll give you those weeks where he'll be top 5 QB, top, overall QB1 or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it doesn't look like he's going to tank your league either, or tank your position. He's looked very good through the first 3 weeks. The Panthers have been playing very well, and I think that just continues. And once he gets McCaffrey back, I think it'll make things easier for him again.
Something very interesting too. He's going up against the Cowboys, who love to give up points to fantasy quarterbacks too. And the last time he played them, he absolutely torched them with Robbie Anderson, who was on that roster, has had a few disappointing weeks. So maybe he gets another deep pass too. So that's something else to consider. And DJ Moore might be in for a good week because he has clearly established himself as a wide receiver 1 on that team. So Sam Darnold might be a sneaky pickup for you this week.
Yep, I agree.
All right, next we have Derek Carr, who's been playing well. We told you to pick him up last week. He might still be on waiver wires, especially in 12 format leagues too. So what's your thoughts on Derek Carr?
I will say I'm more concerned about Derek Carr than I am Sam Darnold, which I'm not sure why. It's more of like a gut feeling that I'm having, I guess. For some reason, I don't trust this Raiders offense.
Mm-hmm.
Probably through years of getting boned by the Raiders offense.
You mean them having a strange leak like they did this week, and we kind of predicted they were going to do? And they have a concerning matchup coming up against the Chargers, who did give up a lot of passing yards to the Chiefs, but everyone goes down to the Chiefs in passing yards, which the Chargers won that game. Congratulations, Chargers. But I kind of feel like they don't match up very well against that defense. I think it might be a hard week for Carr. I think he could still potentially finish as a top 10 QB this year. He's been very good, but highly inconsistent, like you said. It's just weird with the Raiders, always has been.
Good streaming option, Derek Carr.
Yes. Very good. And let's hit the emergency button for this last quarterback on the list, okay? The last one is someone who is kind of slid under the radar because the 49ers have been playing well. Might not be on your waiver, but go and check anyway, because I think he's going to be starting within the next few weeks. I have stashed him on my bench, and I'm anticipating him playing soon. Trey Lance. Trey Lance is getting more packages in these 49ers games in the red zone because they see he is a weapon. He scares the shit out of teams, and he's even used as a diversion. I really believe he's going to open up that 49ers offense and help them score even more. In an offense that's already effective, he's going to give absolute fits to teams when Kyle Shanahan gets him in there as the starter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They're playing well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they make the transition or not.
I believe you will see the transition because they see what he can do out there. And the Dolphins had no problem doing it last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it was in a weird spot. I think you might see it within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I truly believe that.
I suppose it could. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that, I don't know, Shanahan is wild sometimes.
Yeah, no shit with Brandon Aiyuk and Trey Sermon. It was a
that's
roller
what
coaster
I
ride
mean.
for the next 2 weeks. I'm glad to see that he listened to me last night and actually put them out there, but that might just be because there was a lot of injuries and he didn't have a choice to apply it.
He really didn't have a choice with Trey Sermon. Like, is he going to start Trey Sermon, or is he going to bring the guy that he just signed off a practice squad, or a guy they just signed this week? Like,
well, he saw Trenton Cannon's return. He's like, well, shit, we might have to get him more plays too next week if Elijah Mitchell's not playing. So, I mean, we'll see, but I think Sermon's in for at least another good week before he starts splitting carries. So, Shanahan, please keep playing Sermon because I would like him to do well, and I'd like to throw him in my flex because I feel comfortable throwing a running back in that spot as opposed to a receiver. So please play Trey Sermon, all right? So we'll move on to the running back position too, where there's some interesting names. Obviously, with Christian McCaffrey out, Chubba Hubbard is going to be a big pickup this week.
Which I know you want to win every single week. I personally do not advise, if you are not the Christian McCaffrey owner, don't go spend a ton of your FAAB on Chubba Hubbard. Like, at most, he's only going to miss, I would say at most, he'll miss 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have Christian McCaffrey back with no, and if you don't have Christian McCaffrey and you spend all your FAAB on Chubba Hubbard, then all of a sudden you're out FAAB and a player.
Right.
Like,
which Elijah Mitchell owners are feeling right now, at least in the immediate future.
Mitchell, right. And not only that, I know people are looking at last year with Christian McCaffrey where he was injured, came in, played a game or two, injured, game or two, injured. Like, just because that happened last year doesn't mean that's going to happen this year.
Right.
And you're betting a lot on injury, which I don't like to do. So I would just be cautious.
All right, if we're talking about cautious then, and you need an emergency starting running back, which happens sometimes too, how do you feel about his backup, Royce Freeman? Do you feel like he would get the workload should Chubba Hubbard go down, which isn't out of the realm of possibility because we saw McCaffrey go down?
If you want to stash Royce Freeman and you can get him for less than $5 of your FAAB, do it. I mean, that's fine. But you're not going to be going, Chubba Hubbard's going for 60 plus FAAB.
I will not be competing on with that, especially in our Megalo Bowl league. So that one's not happening.
Right. So, I mean, he's going to go for over 60 plus FAAB. It's going to happen.
But it's going to happen with someone that needs an emergency running back and needs to get a win within the next few weeks because it's only first 3 weeks. There's an added extra week for fantasy football this year and going forward. But people are going to start feeling the pressure, so they're going to start spending that FAAB money. So just
listen, if you like your team, look at the players on your team. I'm 0-3 in our auction league right now. It does not feel good.
Feels shitty, doesn't it, Ron?
But I said it yesterday. I am making the playoffs. The players on my team, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Calvin Ridley. These players are not going to be gone, and they're not going to suck all year. They will get things to go. And I will have a very good team. I have to upgrade at my wide receiver positions. I got to find some lucky starts and everything.
Or some trades, get out there and try to make some.
I'm not getting rid of my running backs, so it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not.
So what you're saying is I'm going to have to block you off on the waiver wire order. Oh, wait, that's right. You'll probably be the first one because you're
right,
0-3, so not going to happen.
Right. So you just got to, if you actually have a good team. Now, if you had a bad draft and your team, like your players just are not performing the way you thought they Allen Robinson. If you went in with Allen Robinson as your wide receiver one.
Sorry, JJ.
I'm sure you're feeling, some sort of way. Because to me, he was that last guy that I would be comfortable going in as my wide receiver one. Like if you looked at the rankings pre-draft, he was that last guy that if he was my wide receiver 1, I would have felt good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not feeling good after 3 weeks if that was your strategy.
Nope, pretty happy I traded him to JJ. JJ's hoping he's going to do something this season, but
could you stop kicking JJ while he's down? He's never going to come back.
Hey, man, I had to give the Bears fan his wide receiver, okay?
We're Giants and Jets fans. We're used to this shit now. Like, he's not used to it yet. You got to give him some time.
Welcome to the bottom of the well, JJ. It feels real good down here.
Just think about it. Next draft, we won't have to watch the draft very long because we'll all probably have top 5 picks, so it's fine.
Yeah, but we both have 2 draft picks, so yes, we will have to watch it.
No, because my second pick is the Bears pick, so I'll
Well, maybe they'll be trading Khalil Mack for some first-round picks, so maybe he'll be doing that too because they'll do a Band-Aid rebuild.
Poor Bears fans and Giants fans and Jets fans.
All right, we'll move on to our next running backs in this position too. Do you feel any confidence in either Zach Moss or Peyton Barber going forward?
Definitely not Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber only did stuff this week because Josh Jacobs was out.
Correct.
Like, it's not going to be a normal thing. I don't think Josh Jacobs, he didn't even get ruled out of this game until pretty late in the week.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are he'll play next week. And then Peyton Barber will do nothing.
All right. What about the red zone touchdown stealing target that is Zach Moss?
I still, I understand the allure. Like, the offense is very good.
The Todd Gurley allure?
There's still, Devin Singletary still involved.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen is still going to get his red zone rushing.
Yep.
I don't feel like the rushing numbers are high enough on this team. Josh Allen had 3 passing touchdowns in the first half.
He did.
And they were still throwing the ball well into the second half.
And he's a good rushing quarterback too.
Right. I don't like the volume. Obviously, if you're hurting for running back, you could do a lot worse than Zach Moss.
You could.
I don't know. You could try plug in Peyton Barber. But there's probably other things you could do. But at this point, it's getting thin. If you have Zach Moss, you have to play him. But I would not be going out and trying to acquire Zach Moss. I don't think it's going to help your team.
Okay, is he worth a bench spot if you have a deep bench in your league, potentially maybe waiting for a Singletary injury?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he definitely needs to be rostered. But if it's going to cost you any type of FAAB, if you want to go and be like, I'll do $1 for Zach Moss, sure, that's fine to keep him on your bench just in case. But I wouldn't. It's not someone that I'm like all hyped up about. I got to go get him type player.
Right. And now, last running back that we're going to talk about too. Might not be available in all leagues, but there may be some jaded Jets fans like me too. Is Michael Carter worth the pickup? I would say no because I am fucking getting pissed at this shit. But he's clearly establishing himself as the number 1 running back on that team in a very bad offense. But is he worth a look? I don't think so, but I got to ask you.
He's got to be on the roster.
Does he?
Yeah, I think. Well, deep bench. If you have a deep bench, he's got to be on your roster. Because he very well could be a bell cow for a team. Like, that's what he's working towards.
That's right, for a team that scores nothing.
Well, that's difficult. But you got to remember that a lot of these rookie running backs, their first year, they don't really show stuff until after a bye week. You know what I mean? So maybe not right now, but I think if you have a deep bench, he should be on your bench. I wouldn't start him, but definitely have him there for if anything does happen.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that too, because I experienced that with Cam Akers last year, who had a fantastic second half of the season. I got sick of his shit after 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm like, nope, done with this, and dropped him. And then shortly right after that, took right off, and he was good. I could have used him in a flex spot in a few spots, which maybe would have not put me up against someone last week and kicked me out in the round where I lost in the playoffs by a 1/10 of a point. But that's neither here nor there because it's a new year. So anyway, before I reintroduce myself to those old scars, let's move on to the wide receivers.
Oh, hold on. I got one more running back I want to talk about.
Who?
Giovanni Bernard.
Oh, God, do we?
For Tampa Bay.
Ugh.
I think Ronald Jones is done.
Okay.
It's going to be Leonard Fournette as the, main guy.
Yep.
And Giovanni Bernard is already going to be the passing down work. Now, obviously, the Buccaneers are not going to have a lot of games that they lose this year, and they probably won't have very many games where it's tight. But Ronald Jones had 10 targets and caught 9 of them for 51 yards and a touchdown. Like, he's going to be the passing down back, and Brady loves his passing down back. When Brady was in New England and James White was there, James White was always a flex option because he always had 3 or 4 catches a game.
If Barber is going to be, I'm giving the correct name, right? Yeah. If Peyton Barber, right?
No, Giovanni Bernard.
Sorry, if Giovanni Bernard is going to get worked into that offense, I think you're going to have to look at those matchups week to week. You're going to have to play him against teams that are going to score a lot against Tampa Bay, which is going to be tough because they have a good defense now, too. They're not going to see that every week. The Rams were an opportune team that scores a lot and something where you could have seen that. I don't think you really see the formula for it now, but if you believe in that formula where he's going to get the James White kind of work, go into those matchups where teams are going to score a lot against him, and then you'll see him get that work in the backfield because Leonard Fournette is going to be the bruiser, and then he would be the passing down running back. Personally, I'm staying away from this entire position. I hate the Tampa Bay backfield, and I'm so glad I've got no part of it. I want nothing to do with it.
I would be more comfortable going and get Giovanni Bernard this week than I would be Peyton Barber, though.
Oh, yeah, no, much better. I'm so glad I don't have to, dabble in the Peyton Barber sweepstakes. So
right.
I'm more than happy to stay away from both of them because that's why I draft running backs early, so I don't have to experience that or trade for them, apparently. All right, so let's now move on to the wide receivers where you might be more attentive in listening. All right, so first name on this is the interesting, as always, Hunter Renfrow, who finally had a good game with Derek Carr. Fairly consistent, interesting name. What are your thoughts on Hunter Renfrow?
Oh, I think he's a must. I think he's a wide receiver 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's had 3 serviceable games. I wouldn't say they were great or anything.
Yep.
But, I mean, week 1, he had 10 points.
Yep.
Week 2, 8 points. And then this week, he got 16 points because he got the touchdown. Like, if I could get those numbers for my wide receiver 3, I'm happy.
Right.
Like, those are good numbers.
Interesting play then. And he's someone that is widely available in a lot of leagues too. People are a little skeptical of Raiders wide receivers, especially Henry Ruggs after just being weird this season. Good games, bad games mixed in, but that's what you're going to get with a speed receiver.
Hunter Renfrow is only
more
31% rostered, and he's that guy. He's that third down. Oh, it's 3rd and 3. Who am I going to look for? I'm looking for Hunter Renfrow. Yes.
Well, you're actually looking for Darren Waller, but that's his second option.
Yeah. Well, I understand. Like, if you need the big play, he's not gonna be that big play guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, rarely will he get you a lot of yardage. But if you can give me someone as my wide receiver 3 that's going to give me 5 catches for 50, 60 yards a game, I'm happy.
Right.
Give me that consistency.
Now, on top of that, let's talk about someone who's really going to be a commodity this week in the waiver wire, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being your pickup, especially if you're picking in last place, which might be a possibility depending on the scoring in our league.
Oh, JJ will probably get me again.
Yeah, well, this will probably be the player that he ends up getting then. Emmanuel Sanders, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is showing that he's going to be a part of that Bills offense, and they were playing against a defense that was perceived to be good in Washington, kind of up in the air now, but he seems to be a good part of that offense. And the old man is finding his youth again.
You know, everyone's making fun of my wide receivers in this league, but, like, obviously Calvin Ridley hasn't performed, like, as I thought he was going to.
No, Cordell Patterson has.
But he hasn't had bad weeks. I mean, week 1, 10 points, that was bad. Yep. 19 points week 2, 14 points this week. Like, he hasn't been bad. Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
I mean, 16-point week 2, 35 week 1, 10 this week. Like,
I like Deebo still going forward.
Right.
He's just been inconsistent for you. He'll definitely have his weeks though. So yeah, I don't think you're in as dire straits as you think you are. It feels like you are, but Tim Patrick, yeah, going forward, he's going to be a good option too. So yeah, you also mentioned a name there, Cordell Patterson. Unbelievably, he seems to be the focal point of that Falcons offense. Why the hell is he? Not sure, but they seem to love him there. They run the ball with him. They pass the ball with him. He had 80 yards passing, and he is their Julio Jones replacement for some reason. He might not be available on waiver wires because he was a commodity last week, but go check to see if he's still there. Still worth looking at. On to our next player too. Oh, God. What do you think of A.J. Green and Christian Kirk?
I like Christian Kirk.
Yep.
Christian Kirk, this is 3 weeks now where Christian Kirk has had good games. A.J. Green had a good game. I'm not going to take it away from him.
Right.
But, like, he's not going to do that every week.
No, he's not. And Christian Kirk is the one I think you want to roster out of this. I said you also want to roster Rondale Moore, and I do believe you do. He's a rookie, might have a good second half of the year too. He's going to have his games in between too. But I compared this wide receiving core to the 49ers running back room of last year where you knew there was going to be points coming out of that room. You just didn't know where the hell they were going to be coming from. So if you have your Alibaba going on and you can predict which one of these wide receivers are going to be playing good? I sure as shit cannot. I thought it was going to be Rondale Moore this week. You're going to be in for some good weeks. So Christian Kirk has been shown to be one of the more consistent options out of the four. Roster these Cardinals wide receivers, except A.J. Green, and see what happens. Look at the matchups. If you like the matchups, potentially throw them in the flex. It could be beneficial for you.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't think it was A.J. Green.
Yeah, no. Ron, what are we doing with Deshaun Jackson? Anything? Because I'm not doing anything with him.
No, I think this was just a game where they had to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Or, pass the ball to keep in this game. They had a tough matchup, and he just showed out this game.
Yep. Does he have more fantasy-relevant games than Kendrick Bourne?
I don't know.
So Kendrick Bourne was the Patriots' number one wide receiver this week, which is odd because there seems to be a new top target with the Patriots every single week. Other options available there. The running backs seem to be more prevalent, but going into this week's Sunday game, I don't know what the hell the Patriots are going to do. They're going to have a very unique game plan for Tom Brady. They're going to want to show him something that they've never shown anyone. So God knows what that offense is going to do. I might want to avoid the Patriots offense this week.
They're going to lose is what they're going to do.
Yeah, well, that Tampa Bay defense is going to be absolutely swarming Mac Jones. I believe they're going to be creative and hang around maybe for a quarter, but I think Tom Brady ultimately is going to be looking to torch them, is very motivated, as you saw from the bench after he lost to the Rams, and he doesn't need the extra motivation because he's coming home to see Bill Belichick, who he would love to destroy, I think. So, boy, is Brady going to have a good week next week. I would stay away from, personally, the Patriots players that are on waivers right now, maybe outside of maybe James White, who might be a safety blanket, but he's probably already picked up in leagues. If he's
Didn't James White get injured?
Oh, shit, did he? I'm not sure, honestly.
Hold on, let me check. I thought I saw something about that, but I was at work, so I could have been wrong.
We might have an injury update for you guys. So while you're doing that too, I'll talk about Cole Beasley here too. He is also considered a pickup option too, but Cole Beasley plays out of the slot for the Bills. He's their third wide receiver. I think there is better options out there considering maybe like a Hunter Renfrow, his teammate Emmanuel Sanders, even the Cardinals wide receivers, if you can pick it up here. Yes, I like the name, but I think there's better options there too. Beasley is someone you can flirt with, but I don't feel very high on him. I don't know what your thoughts on him are, or if you had an injury update for us.
James White has suffered a hip injury.
Oh, shit.
I don't see any new news on it at this point, but yeah, he went out of week 3 game with a hip injury.
Interesting. So maybe that'll invite Stevenson back into the offense after being in the doghouse for the last few weeks.
Maybe.
Interesting thought there. What are your thoughts on Cole Beasley?
Cole Beasley kind of reminds me of Hunter Renfrow a little bit. Like, he's going to get his slot targets. He's the slot guy.
Yep.
I mean, and he's had, week 1, 14 points. Week 2 was a little disappointing at 7 points. Week 3, this past week, was 20 points. Like, he's going to be that guy. That's never going to get you 0. You know what I mean? You're never going to see Cole Beasley get you nothing. And those are the type of guys that I feel are good for your wide receiver 3 position. Like, okay, I have a bye week, or, if you roster 3 wide receivers or flex,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get negative. I can't go with a 0 or 1 point. It's like,
you mean like a Brandon Aiyuk can potentially give you?
Right. So Cole Beasley's a solid play for consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, if you're going and you're like, oh, I'm going to need that boom game, don't expect that from Cole Beasley.
Is KJ Osborne going to be playable in the wide receiver 3 this week?
No. It's Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook. Like, I understand the allure of KJ Osborne, and in Dynasty, get him, because he did show he plays well. Mm-hmm. He does play well. He's a good player. Which means at the end of this year, if the Vikings can trade Thielen and get out from his contract, they might roll with the younger Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne duo and just go on having, for the next 10 years, having a good wide receiver duo.
Mm-hmm. All right. Some more. Yeah. I think that will potentially be the outlook for them into the future. And I think that is some good advice to pick him up in Dynasty if he's still available. I don't believe he is in a lot of them because he was already on the hot name too. So he was last week's waiver wire show. So let's get off that. And with the last 2 wide receivers I want to discuss, if for some reason Henry Ruggs is still out there, doubt he is, pick him up. He had a bad week. Maybe you could trade for him on the low, but he's highly inconsistent. Ron wouldn't play him as a wide receiver 3. I probably would because I like the boom bust.
He didn't have a bad week this week, I thought. I thought he had an okay week.
I might be mistaken then. Would you like to give us a stat line then?
Oh, my goodness.
Get to it.
I'm working on it. I got to get to the thing.
I might be mistaken because I thought the Raiders just had an off week.
That was close, but they had to throw the ball to, do stuff. 12 points.
Off week compared to what he's had, but that's still pretty good numbers then. So if for some reason he's on the waiver wire, pick him up. Doubt he's there, but take a look. Never something bad to hurt. And
he also had 7 targets. He only caught 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's still getting targeted.
Yards. He could have caught 1 more of those targets, went over 100 yards, and had a touchdown. Like, that's who Henry Ruggs is. The targets, you got to remember with wide receivers, you want to look at the targets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because if someone's getting 7, 8 targets a week, even if they're not catching them, eventually it's going to click, and they're going to be good.
Okay, so go ahead.
You only get targets if you're open, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're getting open, that means you're a good wide receiver. So it's just watch the targets.
So apparently Henry Ruggs is good, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, he's fast, and if they can use him right, he was the first wide receiver taken off the board in last year's draft.
That was a mistake, but he is showing up. Congratulations. He's not that bad. All right, so last wide receiver, emergency stash. Not a big name on him, but I saw him around some places. James Washington from Pittsburgh. I wouldn't even touch him.
I'm interested.
Explain.
If Deontay Johnson doesn't come back,
and
if Juju stays injured, because he had an injury this past game, there's going to need to be someone else outside of Chase Claypool. And that's probably going to be James Washington. He's been on the team for a few years, hasn't really been able to break into the starting lineup because of people like Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. But
let me explain to you why I'm not interested. And this will transition into the tight end position. 1, Najee Harris is getting a ton of passing work, and that's where the work, I think, went, and you're going to see that going to continue. 2, there's a tight end there that had a low amount of yardage there, but he's starting to emerge. His name is Pat Freiermuth, and I think they're going to start using him a lot more, and I think he is a decent pickup for the tight end position, which is barren desert, just like last year, especially if you're struggling with it like I am this week. Every week going forward, it's going to be a struggle for me. So I might be looking at someone like Pat Freiermuth who might get more targets. He got into the end zone, and that puts him in top 10 category, just getting into the end zone, because not every week a team has a tight end that does it. I like Pat Freiermuth going forward, and that's not just in Dynasty. Other one, don't like him, Tyler Conklin. He got into the end zone. I ain't touching him.
No, I know this team has been passing more than I thought they would this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't trust Conklin. Maybe it's a name thing.
Yeah, maybe. Conklin. Anyway, how do you feel about Freiermuth?
I like Freiermuth. I don't know how long it's going to be for them to actually get him more involved.
I think he's established himself as the clear number 1 tight end there, which I thought was going to take longer even with Ebron there.
Yeah, like I did think it was going to take a little bit longer than what it is, but I mean, he has been in there. I haven't looked at all the numbers yet. I want to see like how many routes he ran, all of his targets. I haven't really dove deep into that yet, but definitely someone you could stash on your bench.
And let me also bring up this point about Freiermuth too. Big Ben is older. Does he throw it down the field still? Yes, a little bit, but he does need a security blanket. Old men like blankets on couches, right, Ron? That's why you fell asleep last night. I think Freiermuth could be a security blanket for him. So I think he could have very good weeks going forward.
The blanket was the killer. I was all nice and toasty.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was the reason why.
Yeah.
That's what put you out for last night.
Had nothing to do with waking up at 4 a.m. and working 12 hours.
No, absolutely not. I'm sure that's not had anything to do with it. Is there any other tight ends you wanted to add to this position, or that the 2 you're looking at?
You can look at Dawson Knox for the Bills.
Oh God, no.
But I don't know if I'd worry about it too much. But
it'll sure be interesting to see what I do. It'll be interesting to see what I do with the tight end position this week, because obviously it looks like I need to shake it up again, like every week.
Why? Who are you starting?
I don't know who I'm starting yet.
No, who'd you start? Who have you been starting? I guess I mean
San Diego starting tight end, and I predicted he was going to have a good week. I started him for the last 2 weeks, and he hasn't done
Jared
shit.
Cook?
Yeah, well, they also went to Parham at tight end too, so
yeah,
I can't play even Jared Cook now. So son of a bitch, right back to the drawing board for me. I might just want to try. I might just want to trade for one. Just take a wide receiver off my bench that somebody needs and get one. So if you guys are listening, send me offers. I might consider them. Probably not.
I got one.
Yeah, you got one. I'm so happy for you. Anyway, so let's move on to defenses that you can play this week too. These are not going to be the defensive dominators. You guys will get into that later in the week because I'm on vacation. But anyway, 3 defenses I believe you can stream and might be available in your leagues too. The Dolphins are playing against a hobbled Carson Wentz this weekend who played like absolute shit. So the Dolphins might be available in a lot of leagues, so consider them. Any thoughts?
It's possible. That's a decent one.
Okay. Green Bay is also going up against Pittsburgh. Their wide receivers are hurt. Najee showed well, but it is an offense that's been sputtering.
But no, I don't like it.
So you like the Dolphins defense a little bit more than
the Green Bay has shown all year that they can be scored on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the biggest thing you want with the defense is, not letting the other team score.
Right.
I don't think Big Ben, while he isn't the same guy as old, he doesn't make stupid mistakes. He's not going to go throw a dumb interception. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
I don't like that matchup as much.
And then my last streamer of the week, which I think is an absolute excellent option, and I never thought I was going to be saying this. The Cincinnati Bengals defense against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been absolutely inept on offense. Rookies look like shit this year, and somehow they played well against Pittsburgh and did very well in fantasy football. What is your thoughts on Cincinnati going into Thursday?
Cincinnati's defense is interesting. Wait, that's the Thursday night game, the Bengals versus Jacksonville?
It sure is. Another good one. Real knee slapper.
What is going on?
Real knee slapper.
What's that? 3 in a row that have been like
trash? Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, I'm counting the Giants game.
What is their obsession with these young quarterbacks playing these ones? Sam Darnold and Captain, what the hell was his name? What were we calling him last week? I've already forgot his name.
General Mills.
Yeah, General Mills last week. I understand they thought Deshaun Watson was going to be in there, which is actually another interesting story. Supposedly, their amount that they're asking for has gone down in trades, but that's just a rumor, so that still fucking continues. But anyway, yes, the Bengals defense going against a rookie is interesting as F.
Yes, it is.
And Thursday night football, pick up the damn game because I don't know what the hell you're doing over there, okay?
Well.
Can't help people getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
I did have one last little bit of news before we got it here, unless you had something you wanted to add for defenses, Ron?
Nope.
Okay. Also, in the last little bit of news, I saw this come across the board too. So, Tyron Armstead, left tackle for the Saints, is expected to miss several weeks, so that might affect the running game. Kamara, I think we'll still get his and be fine, but that is something to monitor too, because obviously they're going to have to make adjustments there. And whenever a Pro Bowl level left tackle goes out, it's going to affect the team.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Left tackle is a big one.
Yeah. So definitely monitor that going forward too. And hopefully, guys, our waiver advice helped you this week. It sure as shit did not last week. Send your hate mails to the voicemails, like I said, at www.garbagetimef.com. Yell at me there. I'll take it. I'll eat my crow. You will get it on the show, and we will respond to it. So, Ron, where can you find our show?
Like you just mentioned, www.garbagetimef.com. It will list everywhere we are available on there. That's where you leave us voicemails or hate mails. Join the heckling fandom, please. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe over on YouTube at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Make sure on Apple you leave us a review. We prefer 5 stars. We believe we deserve 5 stars, but if you have another take, leave a review over there, and we'll gladly take it and run with it, and we'll most likely show it on air.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said we deserve 5 stars, because C. Leahy on YouTube says, it's time to worry about Robert Woods. Under that comment, how about you guys start putting in timestamps? So, yeah, we'll look into that eventually, but we do work full time. So, hey, if you want to come on and start doing our timestamps, maybe we'll throw you a t-shirt or something. That would be lovely. But yeah, or if you just want to scream at it for us, like we said, www.garbagetimef.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if we ever had enough voicemails, we would do a whole show that was just responding to voicemails. I would do it.
And we wouldn't just have to hear Christian telling us we suck every week.
Right.
Christian, we know we did not do good on the waivers last week. We're trying to get better, buddy.
It gets hurtful. I appreciate Christian
It gets hurtful
very much, but like, I want to hear other people yell at me.
That's right. We want to hear other people telling us we suck. Not just Christian. We need more than one person telling us we suck.
I just don't take Christian at his word. That's all it is. I don't trust him.
Christian tells us we suck. Go Bills.
He is a Bills fan, so it's hard to trust him.
Also, we have another show too, and I believe they're going to be going weekly again too. Garbage Time presents the MMA podcast.
Yes.
So
they
Brian
did the
does
show. They went what was it, 11-2 and 10 for 3 with their picks. So that's
right.
Good.
You could win money off these guys. They're pretty damn good at picking. You know, maybe Casey will show his stomach again. You get a little bit of excitement on the show.
Right,
nothing that'll get it. That's right. Nothing.
I'm excited.
Nothing that'll get it removed from the air, but a little motivation on the side, right,
Get
Ron?
him going. Maybe he'll start an OnlyFans. You don't know.
Oh yeah, no. Pay him to keep his clothes on. I like that. All right, Ron. How about with that? I think we're ready to go. Right.
All right. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when we drop these new videos.
Good night, guys.